Hello Rosie, this is Mark. Here's a very quick run through of the Earth surface process. Earth surface processes lecture from last year. So the main idea here was just to introduce them to the area they were going to visit in the field course, so I'm not sure how that will work this year. The Vattenlicht thing with the link there was an art installation which was set up in 2017. It was a nighttime laser art installation in Winnott's Pass, which is a small limestone gorge with the road from Castleton back towards Manchester running through it, and they closed it and had lasers which sort of simulated, lasers and smoke which simulated the underwater environment of the Carboniferous during the formation of the limestone area. This was just catch-up really, because I in the previous lecture we sort of did a few basic ideas about ecology and biogeography, and some of them we didn't cover: succession, land cover, land use. So that was just a sort of summary of succession, talking about primary and secondary succession, and plagioclimax vegetation, mainly because these are the sort of environments that we see obviously in the Peak District today, which are a result of forest clearance, grazing, land management, burning vegetation, managed burns of vegetation, particularly on heather moorlands, and agriculture. These are sort of referring back to the this biome diagram, which I think was in the previous lecture, and talking about climatic climax communities and biomes. Straightforward, I think. In terms of Europe, where is Europe in terms of world biomes? Well, it's a temperate forest area with broadleaf deciduous tree species, the main climatic climax vegetation. And then these are sort of different types of biogeographical classification. So here's Britain in the Atlantic region, and then the division of Britain in terms of the north, the central Atlantic and the North Atlantic biomes. And then that is quite a nice diagram that relates to the later thing about the X and the T's line, the northern and southern division of the United Kingdom. Bit of discussion about that. So this is the X-T's line, which we often talk about as splitting the UK into two parts in terms of geology, landscape, land use, and many other things. Some characteristics of what's north and south of the line. Whereas the Peak District, well, it's right in the middle, or right on top of the line of the X and T's. Something on the climate, no source on that figure, sorry, don't know where that came from. Where are we in the diagram? Well, based on the previous data, we're slap bang in the middle of a temperate deciduous forest. That's what we'd expect to see in the absence of human activity in the Peak District. But of course, human activity affects land cover by virtue of land use, and I normally talk a bit about the difference between what land cover means and what land use means. And there is a little bit of confusion actually potentially with the UK land cover map. This is the one from 2015, because there's a bit of a mixture between land use and land cover classes. So for example, heather is a land cover, but improved grassland is a land use. So that's quite an interesting thing to talk about. Just an example, close-up example of one area of the western side of the Peak District. I think Simon's probably talked about this, geology of the Peak District. So it's a dome-shaped feature with layers of sedimentary rock, limestone and sandstone, shales and sandstones which have been uplifted into a dome. The top's been chopped off, and that's exposed the older limestone rocks in the central part of the peak, and then on each edge we have shale and millstone grit edges. The white peak is the limestone area, the central part. The dark peak is the horseshoe of gritstones and shales which go around the top part of the Peak District, and Castleton's right on the border of the white and dark peak, so we see both geologies. What's this one? Landscape characteristics of the Peak District. Again, Castleton's right in the middle there and shows we're at the junction of two different landscape types. So we call the dark peak is the millstone grit or sandstone area. Description of that. Nice picture here. These are Caloona heather moorlands. This is looking over Ladybar, towards Ladybar Reservoir, I think, in the eastern side of the Peak District. The white peak is the older exposed limestone. And this is Winnett's Pass. So this is where the Vatalicht video was taken from, and the lights were set up all around this dale. Here, introducing the idea that in the Carboniferous this area was a fringing reef, so under an area of tropical water, with the drop-off zone coming from the top of the picture down towards the road. Just a map orientating people about the area. You see Winnett's Pass is right on the left-hand side, and it's actually the road which comes over from Chapel and the Frith over to Castleton, a very steep road. And just to the north of Winnett's Pass you can see the old road in a big loop, just where it says it goes up to Mam Farm and then loops backwards. This is the road that was closed in the 1970s that Simon talks a bit about the geomorphology of. And then all I've done is just show a sort of aerial view. These are just perspective views from Google Earth, with Manchester on the left-hand side, city centre and Denton Reservoir. Macclesfield is bottom left, and the edges of Sheffield are top right. The central area below what's marked as Mam Tor is the White Peak, and you can see some large limestone quarries in the centre of the bottom there. Town of Buxton is just to the left of the large quarry at the centre bottom. And then you can see the brown upland areas, which are the dark peak acid moorland areas surrounding the White Peak. Zooming in here a little bit, you can start to see the Mam Tor Ridge here, and Castleton towards the bottom part of the image. Close up of Castleton Village. So Castleton Village in the middle, centre bottom. Winnett's Pass is the deep gorge at the top, and then to the left, snaking left from Castleton Village is Cavedale, which is where we would normally walk. And then to the left again, a huge hole limestone quarry. This is a blue circle cement extraction quarry. And then the Great Ridge, as it's called, coming down from Mam Tor summit down to the bottom right-hand side of the picture. Zooming in again, this is in the middle, the square thing is Peveril Castle, which is a Norman castle just on the edges of Castleton itself. The big black hole on the right is called, name escapes me now, it'll come back to me in a minute, but on the left hand side is the snaking path of Cavedale that we normally walk up. So yeah, the big hole is Peak Cavern, and that's one of, I think, 4 show caves that people can visit in the area. Just another perspective view now, looking from Castleton Village at the bottom, with the Winnett's Pass road going up and left, and the old road snaking out to the right below the Mam Tor landslide. And then just some description about the types of landscapes. So calcareous and silicious grasslands. So these are the two sort of grassland areas, one on the limestone area and one on the sedimentary sandstone rock area. So that's White Peak and Dark Peak, or limestone and gritstone. Some characteristics of things that they would see on calcareous grassland. Here's an example. This is Cave Dale that we used to walk up. So it's a deep limestone gorge, probably caused by post-glacial erosion during times of permafrost. Rectilinear slopes, silicious grasslands. So these are more on the gritstone areas, typical on the slopes of Mam Tor, for example. This is a big landslide on the face of Mam Tor that Simon will talk about. Some links. I think this is actually Simon's slide. Don't think that's his dog, but maybe. And then these were just additional slides, which I think they use for their coursework. So just a little bit of a sort of mini geology map showing the different reef formations. This is Magic Map, again showing that the area has sites of special scientific interest. The whole of the area is actually a triple SI, whole of the area around Castleton and Cave Dale Winnets Pass. A little bit on, what's this one? Priority Habitat Inventory. Can't remember what that's really about, to be honest. Another magic map, which you might want to have a look at. That's it. Hope that's useful. Bye for now.